cool. So my name is Dustin Thompson, and I'm speaking on behalf of Delaware United. So that's what the little buttons are about. So we came together, just a brief little tiny bit. We came together after the convention to kind of refocus some people on local elections and getting them to understand that that's actually where change happens in your life. It's in the state and local races. So we came together and tried to pull volunteers to actually be on the ground and volunteer for different candidates that we researched and came out in favor of as a group. All right, so that being said, our group has come together to compile a few suggestions for the Delaware Democratic Platform that details some broad ideas to expand key areas of the democratic process in Delaware. So we did read the platform, and there are many great ideas found in the current version of the Democratic Platform, both in the state and, of course, nationally. But there's certainly some room for improvements and hopefully some additions. That's why two of the recommendations that we came out with today are to actually have to do with increasing public involvement, awareness, and input in the political process from start to finish. So I'm not sure if you guys are aware of this, but in November of last year, the Center for Public Integrity, which is a Pulitzer Prize winning organization, ranked Delaware 48 out of 50 in integrity in state government on multiple levels. Additionally, according to a study conducted by the U.S. PIRG Education Fund, which is a group that studies how states spend their money and the public access of that information, Delaware is ranked in the bottom 10 at 44. These outside reviewers' results, unfortunately, are not a complete surprise, as we discovered when we were volunteering in the primary election of the campaigns of the candidates that we endorsed. This is where we learned firsthand how frustrated Delaware voters are with how our state government operates currently. Countless conversations with voters and innumerable phone calls by our members yielded the most valuable data of all. We have seen that the citizens of Delaware are experiencing what effectively amounts to voter disenfranchisement, leading to apathy and disengagement in what should be one of the most important aspects of their lives. So we feel that it's urgent that the state platform includes just some basic recommendations for increasing the public involvement and increasing awareness and input in the political process from start to finish. To that effect, we would ask that the Democratic Party add language in the platform that shows a commitment to removing obstacles to voter involvement. Right now, there isn't really a subsection for electoral reform or improvements or really anything on the platform. So there's several ways that the party can show its commitment to this idea, such as moving the deadline for voter registration as close to the date of the primary as possible. Having the date so far away from the primary lends to the notion that the party doesn't want the voters' involvement, particularly when people actually want to vote, which we've seen that people really wanted to vote when we were out there. But a lot of them missed the deadline because they didn't know that it was going to be 3 or 4 months ahead of time. While other states are placing language in their respective platforms for a commitment to moving towards things like automatic voter registration, open or semi-open primaries, or even same-day registration, Delaware, we feel, hasn't shown nearly enough commitment in improving our political and electoral processes. So further, we would ask to add language that would push harder on disseminating information to the public about what is happening in the local and state levels of the government, specifically in regards to legislation and council meetings and other political events that possibly have directly affecting the lives of the public. And I know we do it post-fact a lot, but we would ask that we do so in a manner where the information is released before the events occur with a sufficient amount of time that the public can become engaged and involved in the process. Now, some of our members actually got a phone call, a robot call, but a phone call about this meeting today, which was great, but it was done yesterday. So people didn't have time to make a commitment to be able to show up. So this is the 21st century, and in that manner, we have access to social networking, email, mail, texting, and many other outlets to inform the public. And I just feel that we need to work a little bit harder and use them more efficiently and effectively. So second, we would ask that the Delaware Democratic Party add language to the platform that would effectively work to remove unnecessary barriers to candidacy. As long as people feel as though politics is a member-only club, our democracy will suffer, and the involvement and the participation in the process will continue to drop. Now, this year we've had a great turnout, one of the best turnouts that we've had in a primary, secondary primary, which is great, and that was one of our biggest goals when we were out, not just to get people to vote for the candidates that we were supporting, but we always ended on, no matter who you vote for, please be a voter. So people have to feel as though it's within reach for them to make a difference and get involved, and that includes being able to run for office. That's why we ask for language that will include making it an obtainable goal that if you have the desire to run for office and the support of the people of Delaware, you can compete in the primary races. One of these obstacles is the amount of money involved in the current candidate primary races. There have to be limits on the enormous sums of money that are typically spent running for office. As it stands now, an average income individual has little chance against an incumbent or someone in the top income brackets, because those are the only people that can currently run an effective campaign for office. But being up against somebody running on finances that allow for the spending of $250,000 just to get elected to a local office is just too much. There must be some effective campaign finance reform to make the goal of being elected to public service obtainable for all those who desire to run. Otherwise, the widely held perception of the public that politics is being a game only for the rich will continue unabated, and opportunities include valuable, diverse perspectives in the electoral process will be lost. So our last suggestion, and I know none of these had anything to do with land use, and this one doesn't either. Our last suggestion relates to a different topic, but one that we feel urgently merits the attention of the Platform Committee. We've seen that our state has fallen on hard times in the last decade in several respects, but few more so than the current epidemic of addiction and substance abuse. That's why we're asking the Democratic Party of Delaware to expand on the current commitment to substance abuse intervention, which we've seen that you do have in the platform. But we would ask that you also include language to push for the categorical distinction of addiction as a mental health issue instead of a criminal issue. Furthermore, we would ask that included in that language is a commitment to improving mental health care availability and a promise to promote public awareness through both the current and newly developed public health outlets to combat the stigma regarding mental health conditions. For too long, struggling with a mental health issue has been taboo and something that just cannot be talked about and must remain a self-fought battle that often ends with addiction to drugs or alcohol or worse. By increasing public awareness that mental health issues are nothing to be ashamed about and increasing the information available to the public on how to get help, Delaware can get out in front of the addiction struggle and become a model for other states to follow. So breaking away from this, I myself have struggled with mental health problems since I was very, very young. I'm pretty open about it. I even wrote an essay about it, sent it to some publishers, I don't know, whatever came of that, but released it and disseminated it widely because people need to know that this is a normal thing, that people get down. And right now, a lot of people have this perception that you can't talk about it, that you're going to be ostracized for coming out and saying that you struggle with depression or anxiety or another mental health condition. So by disseminating information through public health outlets, like giving information to doctors about where they can send their patients instead of just prescribing medications, or putting out public service announcements, or in the public health organizations that we have now, putting out informational material, or working with the hopefully newly elected insurance commissioner in the Democratic Party. I know Trinidad, we've already talked to him about a little bit about mental health, and he's more than welcome and on board and jumping in there and helping this process move forward. So by doing this, you kind of stop that chain of events that often lead to addiction. Now you have in there that you're going to increase in coming in and intervening where it's possible for families and children and youth in addiction. But you have to also look at the underlying cause of addiction. A lot of times that is mental health problems that go either untreated or unsuccessfully treated. So we'd ask that you would expand your scope from addiction to include mental health problems as well. So with that being said, thanks for allowing us to speak, and we hope you consider these additions to your platform.
Sorry, we're new. We didn't know how to do it, but I think it's good.
No.
Very done.
It's very good. Thank you very much for your candid words, Dustin. I appreciate the efforts by you and Delaware United, just kind of just putting the major points, and I think it was really just straightforward. I think what you want to see in the party platform, and just I want to have quick comments on it in terms of the voting rights issue. I guess your group has looked at other states, such as like New Hampshire, where they have same day registration, in
Washington,
Washington.
Maine.
12 states.
Yeah.
So I guess you want to look at other states as models for what we could do here.
There shouldn't be, because I feel like that's another stigma that we have. We can't learn from other people's success. In this country, we can't take another country's success and incorporate it into how we run our nation. We have this thing that we have to be the best. We have to be on top, right? We have to be first. So, and the same thing goes in the state. We should be open to see what other people have proven to be effective and to work for years or decades, or that they're trying now, and join them and try and move forward and including more people in the process and making it, breaking that stigma that the political process is some scary, uninviting, hostile environment that you can't be a part of, and make commitments to show this good faith that no, we want you. We want you in this party. We want you to join this group. We want you to be involved. This is an important aspect of your life, and we want your input. So, and part of that just has to be a show of good faith and move towards things that involve more people in the process.
So I guess you're not a fan of Citizens United, right? Okay, I was going to clarify that. All right. So that, all right, should be a part of our platform. Not a part of Citizens United.
Okay.
And I think the national DNC is taking that up as well, obviously. But in terms of locally, just kind of just breaking it down besides Citizens United, putting that aside, I guess, what do you propose something, say, like New York even, where it's kind of public finance, or what does your group want in terms of that?
I think there are multiple states that have some sort of clean elections rules. And I think there's, again, like Dustin said, there's models out there. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. It's being done.